I'm Mary Beth Huwe. I'm a writer and acupuncturist with the Lantern Project in Asheville, North Carolina. What I love about working with people is helping them to begin to see their bodies and their symptoms as information, and thereby eliminating their own suffering. So part of that is, of course, the acupuncture in the treatment session. And other parts of that are the self-care techniques that we can teach people. And one of those is meditation. So when I work with people and help them begin to learn how to meditate or implement a meditation practice in their lives that works for them, I encounter a certain resistance that I thought would be useful to bring up here and talk about that a little bit before we get to the actual meditation today. Probably you'll recognize yourself in this somewhere. I know that I recognize myself in this more than one place. So the chief resistance that I come up against is that people tell me they can't meditate because they don't know how. And that makes them feel like there's a wrong way to do it, and they don't want to do it wrong. They want to do it right. So I think that's pretty sweet, really. And I don't actually think there's a wrong way to meditate, but I'm going to go ahead and use that language and tell you the two wrong ways to meditate, so you can feel confident that you can avoid that, or at least have an awareness of it. So the first way that I would consider to be wrong to meditate would be to not meditate. So if you're not meditating, then you know you're not meditating right, because that's not how you meditate, to not meditate. The second thing, this is a bit more advanced, is being a jerk to yourself while you're meditating. So when we're meditating, often things come up because what we're doing is exploring what's going on in our minds and feeling our bodies and cultivating awareness, basically. So that's an invitation to look at some stuff. And that means that some stuff will come up. And that's great. What's not so great is when we start labeling ourselves as bad because of what we're finding when we look. So let's say that I am sitting in meditation and I start to feel distracted. I can think, all right, I noticed that I'm distracted. I'm going to bring my mind back to the meditation. Or I can think, I notice I'm distracted. I wonder if there's something useful for me within that. So I sort of look at it. What am I thinking about? What can I know? Without following it too much and spinning down a rabbit hole. And then I bring my awareness back to the meditation. Or I can think, I notice I'm distracted. You know why I'm distracted? Because I'm terrible at meditation. You know what else I'm terrible about? I'm terrible at X, Y, and Z. And then there was that thing that I said in the 7th grade, and I still feel bad about that. And then there was that thing somebody said to me last week, which was really rude. And the next thing you know, you're gone. So when that happens, if you then just bring your attention back to the meditation, you know you're doing it right. But if you start labeling yourself as the biggest jerk on the planet because you're terrible at this, or let's say a feeling came up that you don't really like in yourself, like you started to feel angry, or you started to feel jealous, or resentful, or scared, or any of those things. And then on top of that feeling, you're judging yourself. You're adding a layer of complication that doesn't need to be there. You can just let that go. So that would be what I call my rules for meditation, which are not really rules at all. It's just an answer to that resistance that comes up in us. I also want to point out that meditation, like anything else, has lots of different forms, because we are all different kinds of learners, right? So some people might really like a visualization as a meditation. Other people might like to listen and not watch a video like what you're doing now. Or they might prefer meditations that focus on the breath and something they feel rather than something they're imagining. Other people might like a walking meditation. That exists. Some people might want to stand, some might want to sit, some might even need to lie down. I think that's all great. I think the point is to find something that works for you and to implement it. And also to notice that that practice is going to change just like any practice. So often we can become regimented about practice. I'm going to practice this thing from this time of day to this time of day. And we can lose the fluidity of the thing we're trying to do. So your meditation preferences are going to change because you're going to change. You are a dynamic force. You're not the stagnant little square. Or if you are a stagnant little square, meditating is going to change that for you. So please allow yourself the freedom to experiment with meditation. Find what works for you and use it, because that's the point. So today's meditation is a breath-focused visualization that is used to help us transform negative emotions in the moment. So if you want to look at it from a nervous system standpoint, I would say that basically it's a way to calm the nervous system when you get triggered by something and you're fight or flight. And that something isn't an actual danger to your life. It's just something that triggers you and gives you that strong response that is actually detrimental to you and draining. So there's a lot of focus in the world about letting things go. I think that's great. One of the things that I like to focus on is transforming things. And that's what this meditation is about. It's really transforming your energy from that disturbed, agitated, negative state to a calmer, more plugged in place where you can make decisions and not just have reactions. Another thing that comes up for people often is they sort of think they have this choice, either to just let something go or repress it. And I'd like to throw out the option of something else, and that is what I am calling transformation. So really what we're going to do is take awareness that's swirling around, bring it up, and then sink it down into the lower body. And this is a different thing from repression. This is not stuffing down like George Banks style or Death of a Salesman or something like that. This is really first having awareness and then rooting this sort of flighty, agitated feeling into the lower body. Because if you check in, probably you'll find that when you are in a state of emotional distress, you're either kind of sort of out of your body, not really feeling much, maybe swirling around over here, or you're in your upper body somewhere. And rooting your attention and your breath into the lower body plugs you back in and enables you to respond appropriately instead of responding from someplace else. So the first thing that I want to talk about is this. I'd like you to feel the point between your eyebrows. You can put your finger there, you can kind of gently rub it. Often for people it's sensitive. And if you find that it's not sensitive, take your finger up about 1/4 of an inch or even 1/2 an inch. Just kind of slide it up. Find the spot that feels the most sensitive to your touch. If nothing does, that's fine. Just keep it right there between your eyebrows. So I'd like you to bring your awareness there for a moment. If you're not sure what bring your awareness means, just feel that part of your body. And put your attention on it. You can try to imagine that you have an eye there and that you're looking out of it, or doing the Care Bear stare, shooting a little heart out of it or something like that. That can help you be aware of it. So just bring your awareness there. And then once you've done that, drop it back into your head. So it's in the same place, but instead of being on the surface, it's a couple inches deep into your brain, like behind your eyeballs, but between your eyebrows. Just do that for a second. And close your eyes. That'll help. I'll close mine too, so I'm not just looking at you. All right. The next thing, you can open your eyes whenever you want. The next place I'd like you to have an awareness of is in your lower body. This is where we're going to be sending our energy in the meditation. So you can put one finger on your belly button and one finger on top of your pubic bone. And about halfway in between or so, put your hand there on your lower abdomen. You can even breathe into it. Just bring your awareness to it. And just feel it. Feel that part of your body. This has lots of names. People call it the root chakra or the hara. That's a Japanese concept. Chinese, the Daoists call it the dantian. And that's a pretty neat term that basically talks about how we have very creative energy here in this lower part of our bodies. If you think about it, it's where our reproductive organs are housed and have some beginnings. And there is nothing more creative than the next generation, than making the next generation of our species. It's incredibly creative. So, and this is where our kidneys are in the back. It's a big deal. It's really kind of just a big deal. So feel into that area. Notice what you notice. And now please bring your attention back up to that space between your eyebrows, behind your eyes. Remember what that feels like. Now you know these areas, and you don't have to keep your effort or energy there at all. I just wanted you to have some familiarity with them before we begin the meditation. And the next bit is if you see a color during the meditation, great. I'll explain that part after. If you don't see a color, great. You can hear the part about colors after. So please get in a comfortable position. If you're going to be standing, please make sure that your knees are not locked and that your feet are about hip distance apart. I recommend sitting for this. But if for some reason that's not comfortable for you, you can recline or you can stand. And make sure that your feet are touching the ground or the floor, wherever you are. You can put your hands in your lap or by your sides. Close your eyes, please. And just breathe. Really feel your chest. Notice where the breath goes in the chest. Notice what feels tight, what feels good. And just breathe. On your next exhalation, after I've explained this, please flare your nostrils as you breathe out through your nose. So you'll breathe in through your nose and out through your nose with your nostrils flared. You can look at mine if you want to. It looks like this. Now take another inhale, breathe it in and hold it. Bring your awareness up to that point between your eyebrows, about 2 inches back into your head. Keep holding your breath. Notice what you notice. And as you exhale through your nose, drop your awareness all the way down to that lower abdomen that we talked about before. Keeping your eyes closed, breathe. You can open your eyes whenever you like. So that little meditation is something that you can practice. You can go into it and keep doing it if you like. And the idea is that when you are in a time of emotional stress, you take yourself out and you do that. You can even do it with your eyes open if you want. So if you can't get out of the situation and you need to respond in some way, but you're not ready to respond, just do that breathing. It's okay if you flare your nostrils at somebody, whatever. Did you see a color? If you did, know that colors are associated with emotions in this particular meditation. So this is a Daoist meditation. It originated a long time ago in a school called the Ling Bao and was since absorbed into the Jade Purity tradition, which exists today. You can find them online at jadepurity.org. The 5 colors that deal with the emotions are as follows. Dark blue or black is associated with fear. Green or blue-green is associated with anger. Red families would be anxiety, kind of a manic joy, sort of a scattered unsettledness. Yellows and kind of peachy golden colors would be associated with worry or pensiveness, with kind of an obsessive loop to it. And white is associated with grief, sadness, and potentially some blame and criticism and judgment mixed in there too, depending. So, if you want to, you can notice what colors you see and what happens to them after you hold them in your mind. And then root yourself back down into that creative transforming space that you have all the time. Even if you feel like you don't, it's there because you're kind of awesome. Thanks.